What were some of the major takeaways that you guys had on Sunday and Monday when you look back at what you guys did on Saturday?
Yeah, we went through it really thoroughly on Sunday, and then the time that we spent with the players yesterday. Just, we're going to do that every week. Probably do that here for a good year and a half or so. I mean, not that we haven't in the past. It's just we want to pull as much as we can from a previous game.
How strange is it for you to be playing a Ken Niumatalolo team that is not the Navy team that you faced him for well over a decade, and two, he's running a totally different offense. I'm sure there's not a whole lot of stuff out there to piece together what he might do other than the Sac State game. Am I right there?
Well, Dan, yeah, he asked two questions there. The initial one, he's not in Hawaii green either, right? Because he probably had to play Air Force about, 7-8 times as a player or coach while at Hawaii. I believe there may even been a year in there or a couple of years at UNLV. Yeah, I mean, he'll do a fantastic job there. The second part of it was just what we've seen. You're right. I think anytime, really, what we did a good chunk of the off-season study was the offensive coordinator's past, coupled with last year's offensive coordinator at San Jose State still there, and then being able to take from the Sacramento State game. That's what we did on that side of the ball. Defensively, or at least looking at their defense, primarily it's been San Jose State and even Navy to a degree.
To that end, their offensive coordinator comes from Texas State, which had a pretty dynamic offense in the Sun Belt the last couple of years. So you look at 42 points put up against Sacramento State. Are you expecting a pretty dynamic offense on Saturday from San Jose State?
Oh, yeah. I think you have to. I think the other part, you look, you may have one, if not the best, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in this league. And he's been there more than a year or two. I think this is year 6 or 7 for him. He might have more starts than we have on our entire offense total. The quarterback is a really, really good player. He was at Washington State last year. And, they certainly, what you just described, you absolutely saw that against, in their opener too. So, yes, sir, to answer your question, we do expect that.
Do you have to let your defensive players know about Nash's ability to throw the ball, which was on display the other day and given his pass?
That was impressive, really impressive. Incredibly versatile, has been for quite some time a tremendous player.
Peyton coming back and having a game like that, how encouraging was it to see him kind of dominate the defensive line?
Well, to play, a good number of snaps, I think, as we go forward, is there a spot where maybe he plays 20 to 25 snaps in a game? And is he able to do that for 5, 7, 8 games throughout the season? One of the things we want to keep a close eye on his volume. But the plays that he was in there the other day, yeah, it was neat to see. Now, we're going against a really, really good group, this Saturday evening. I think even last year, you look really from October 1st on last season, this was probably the best team in the Mountain West Conference. You look, the couple of games that they lost early in the year in league play, they were ahead, in both those. By a decent margin of both those too, and just how many of those guys return and how good they are. So that's going to be a brand new challenge for him and really all of our guys this week.
You work a lot with the fullbacks. Owen Allen, what have you seen from him during camp and then just kind of, I know he's a sophomore young guy, but what have you seen from him?
Just growth and improvement. He had really, really good production, in high school too. Certainly you look back, played against good competition, And I think for so many guys, you get through the freshman year at the academy. I didn't say the freshman year of football, the freshman year of the academy. And a lot of times your play elevates because of that too.
I know you alluded to maybe a year and a half of this studying and preparation and learning. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you saw that makes you believe there can be some pretty significant turnover in a week? Based on what you saw. And
I mean, you're telling me to say all of a sudden it's abracadabra. I don't think there's magic.
Traditionally, teams talked about the improvement from week 1 to week 2 because you had 16 brand new starters out there, and we'll add another one probably this week. Do you think you will see that because these guys do have some experience, or do you think the issues are more long-term? They need
issues being
just adjusting to your system, running what you run effectively.
I mean, there's nowhere I don't think there's anywhere you're going to work where you'd like to think everything would just take a massive leap. That's not real. It's inch by inch.
Owen came from South Lake Carroll, right?
He did, yeah.
And I believe he was the school's all-time leading rusher. I mean, that's pretty high achievement against very good competition. When you guys were looking at him and he interested in you, what excited you the most about what he did in high school?
Well, obviously, before you get to the football part, solid student, love the upbringing, which I think that matters here. But the production against really good competition.
Were you encouraged about the communication and everything the defensive backs really shown from Camby Goff to Trey Williams, just kind of during week 1's game?
I was, I think the other part you look like Levi Brown's played. He was able to get probably 150 snaps last year, which big picture in college football is not very much at all. But that is a guy for us that is one of our more experienced guys. The other part is I think how much, the way he grasps football. So to have Levi, to have Camby there at the safeties, and then certainly the 3 corners, being Jamari, Trey, and Jerome have played a good bit of football too. And KC's played on special teams. We moved him around a good bit, but he has been around the defense.
Do you think that's going to help out this week, kind of having?
It could. Now, I think the test is completely different. I mean, there weren't a ton of downfield balls last week. Where this week there are going to be more than a few.
And talking about Ken Niumatalolo, just facing someone who has a familiarity against you, how does that kind of change preparation, or does it just knowing what you've thrown at him in the past and how he has reacted?
I guess I don't know how much, because I don't know exactly what that input would be. I do know this: he'll have his team ready to go. He always did at Navy, and maybe it's going to take years, decades. I mean, did an unreal job at Navy. I mean, are you really going to have that kind of over what, 08 to 20, what was it, 15 years, and the number of wins and the demanding of the schedule, and I think it's incredible what he did there, and he'll do an outstanding job at San Jose State too. How much does that come in specifically in this game? I don't know how you really put your thumb on that.
And how do you approach, I guess, the game plan in terms of, with the struggles to run the ball last week, averaging, I think, 3 yards a carry, with the struggles to run the ball, 3 yards a carry, what Air Force, when it's at its best, you're running up the middle, that opens everything else. How quickly do you need to be ready to adapt to throwing the ball or doing something else if you see the same result up the middle?
We'll see, right? That's, I do think we hit some key throws last week. to hit a 4th and 10 there on the initial drive, the 2-minute drive prior to the half. There were a couple of other balls that I thought were pinpointed pretty well where we had a chance, to make a grab, and a couple others where we had guys open where we, but we're, you said it, to adapt, to evolve, to adjust. You're always doing that.
Are you comfortable with a formula that leans on the necessity to throw the ball like that? Do you think your personnel can adjust to that?
We'll see. If necessary, we'll see.
All right. Well, what did you learn when studying the film? Obviously, the defense had a pretty good game, but what kind of things did you pick out that maybe could be improved upon?
Week to week, everybody's trying something different. So, basically just going through as a team and figuring out just the little things that can give us the edge, basically, just film-wise, what they do route-wise, what they're trying to do on third down, what they're trying to do after a quick shot or a first down, just certain things like that. As you go along in the season, you pick up more and more just by watching more film of teams. So. And
how would you describe the challenge coming up this week with San Jose State and their offense?
San Jose is a good team. Much respect to them. I feel like all of us in the defensive room, we understand the explosiveness that they have at quarterback, at receiver. But, we're ready for the challenge nevertheless. So.
How excited are you now turning the page to Mountain West play?
I'm really excited. The Mountain West is dominant. I feel like the Mountain West is a very good league to be in, and we play very good opponents week to week. So, the challenge is abundant, but, I feel like we're prepared nevertheless. So, I'm very excited to start Mountain West play, though.
And then what were your takeaways for you individually from Saturday's game now moving into this next game?
Just understanding that, last week doesn't dictate anything that you're going to do in the future, You can have a bad week the week before and have a great one the week after. So just trying to stay consistent as I can. Understand that this is a more pass-heavy team. So just, relying on my technique and just being where I'm supposed to be when I need to be.
How you doing, Trey?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Good. San Jose State, they like to throw the football in the air a lot. How excited are you for just opportunities and getting some action unlike, maybe perhaps what you saw in week one?
We're really excited. Last week we were preparing for a more heavy pass repertoire than we got basically on game day, but we understand that San Jose, that's their offense, is trying to pass the ball, get it down the field, and we're just ready. We're excited for the challenge, and we're all ready and prepared to take it on.
A lot is always made of in college football, the improvement from week one to week two. Where do you guys make the improvement, and what kind of leap do you guys think you'll make in week two here?
Just understanding that we set the standard. Merrimack and San Jose are, I would say, completely different offenses. So we had a good test of our run defense last week of just testing perimeter play. But now, we're going to be testing downfield more. So just improving on that one and seeing where we stand in that aspect is, pretty important to see.
As a DB, does that excite you?
No,
ball in the air, make plays?
Of course. As a DB, you always want the ball thrown in your direction. You always want the ball thrown to you. I think we're all ready, though. We're all prepared. I feel like yeah.
Talk about being ready and prepared. You guys have a lot of experience in the secondary between Camby, yourself, Jamari. Just use guys' experience and communication. Do you feel like you're kind of playing in sync right now, although it's early in the season?
I think right now we've just grown to set the expectation of what we need as a defensive back room just to be successful week to week. And of course we're going week to week with it, just seeing how we can develop as a group. We'd have to see more and more games to see how we sync further on in the season. So
you personally, what would you give your grade on Saturday?
Honestly, I didn't think I played that well of a game overall. On film, it looked fine, but just me, I'd give it like a B probably.
What didn't you like about your game?
There's certain fits that I made, certain gaps that I shot. It just wasn't smart decisions. Just my run fit responsibility. I thought I was pretty lacking on. So just trying to improve on that this week.
Trey, I'm assuming winning the Mountain West is obviously one of the team goals. Do you worry at all having your first Mountain West game this early in the season?
I don't feel like I worry. I mean, we watch college football all the time, and we see, division guys going against each other in week one. So, I mean, I don't feel like we have any pressing issues about going against a Mountain West rival right now and in the early setting now.
It certainly seemed like the defense is ahead of the offense at this point. Are you guys kind of ready to carry some of the load while the offense does kind of go through some growing pains?
My coach always says, when you bounce a football, it goes in any direction. I feel like we rely on the offense relies on us. So, I mean, week to week, we never know what's going to happen. We may be lacking this weekend. The offense will have to pick us up. So, I have 100% trust in our offense that whatever changes that they've made or whatever they need to do, that is going to happen, and you'll see a real triple option, real Air Force style offense this week.
And how would you describe kind of the vibe of the team coming out of that game?
Of course, it's a bunch of new guys, so banged up, really. Just handling, being sore, practicing through all the injuries and practicing through all the, on a Monday you don't want to practice after 48 hours after the game, but just getting the guys into the locker room, just understanding that, listen, we have a game on Saturday. The weeks are going to come up fast, and that we got to be prepared for when Saturday comes. So I feel like the vibe is perfectly fine right now.
Coming out of that game, what did you learn studying film, and are there some practical fixes that can be put into place in terms of run blocking especially? And I guess that's operating under the supposition that there were some issues to fix. Do you feel that way too?
Right. So I'd say every position group, I guess we all had our moments where we might have missed a certain thing or not done as well as we could have. Offensive line included. Every position group on the offense, maybe we all took turns, not playing our best. And I think that's probably the biggest area we can clean up coming into week 2 is going to be just making improvements, doing our job every play, and making sure we don't take plays off.
How valuable was that game, though, just to have a game of experience and say, okay, this is fixable, this is how it goes. How much more confident are you going to be going into week 2 having that not only behind you but behind the whole team?
It's good because I think we had a lot of guys coming in that we haven't really seen the field a whole lot, myself included. So playing a whole game, for a lot of us, a whole game, none of us have really done. So maybe there might be a bit of gelling that could happen, I guess. We might, come together more here in the next game and down the line, I think. We're just going to just come together, clean it up, and it was just rusty, I guess you could say. It was a rusty first game for, a lot of people, I think.
Are you feeling now a different level of excitement as you guys enter conference play?
Yes, I would say I'm excited for that. It's going to be a different challenge. Just looking at the film, the guys are bigger, obviously. So new challenges, bring them on. We'll make it happen. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
How about from a throwing a football standpoint? Was it just timing off a little bit at times?
I'm not sure. I can tell you from my perspective, we can definitely pass protect better. That's something I don't think I did as well at this past week that I could have. And I know there's other guys on the offensive line that would say the same thing. So we're going to clean that up. And as far as the actual pass game goes, I'm not really sure. That's not my expertise, but I'm sure we're going to start making more connections. We're going to start gaining some more yards there as well.
How are we doing today, Michael?
I'm all right.
How's the confidence of this group right now?
Confidence. I think we are confident a little bit. I think we're trying to find some more. You know what I mean? Like I said, this this past weekend, it wasn't how our offense is expected to perform based on the past few years, and we know that. So we're gonna try and build some more confidence here coming this week against a really good team.
Kind of like looking at the film, obviously not a lot what you wanted, but is there kind of like, hey, this is what we can do well, this is what we did well in the game, let's build off of that as well?
Yeah, there was some good spots too, for sure. Like I came away from the game thinking I did a lot of good things, but there was also some things that need to be done better. And I'd say those good things are what we can really build off of. I know from an offensive line perspective, we did get a lot of decent push on the defensive line this past weekend. So that's something we can keep building off of, keep gaining momentum from. And that can be our strength again this year.
How many games did you get to appear in up until this season?
Up until this season, last season I appeared in 2 games, so the opener against Robert Morris and the bowl game against James Madison.
So the reason I ask that is even though it's not new to you to play college football, I mean, you and the rest of the offensive line as a unit are making like your debut and being the guys. Outside of how well you played, just how fun was it to as a group, and you guys have been grinding together, to make your way to this point. I mean, how fun was it to be out there as a group playing your first college game together?
I would say there was excitement for sure. I would also say the excitement kind of wore off a little bit, and reality kind of kicked in, and it was like, we got to move the ball. We got to start moving the ball here. And 166 rushing yards in the stat line is not something you want to see at the end of the game. So I wasn't necessarily the most excited when the game was over. Again, a win is a win, and we'll take that every day. But as an offensive line, we set our goal to rush for 300 yards a game. That's what we as the players decided. So we want to do that, and getting about half of that is not necessarily exciting, I would say.
No, it's still early in the week, and you're probably still game planning for San Jose State, but what have you seen from their defensive front?
We haven't watched any film as a group yet of San Jose State, but based off of what we saw last year, and I've also looked at some of the film on my own. They're going to be a good challenge for sure. A big step up from last week on the defensive front. So we need to be prepared for them as much as possible.
Got a 2-parter here, if they don't take my mic. Do you consider yourself a leader on this offensive line?
I think so. I do. I try to do my best. I'm more of I would consider myself, I try and lead by example. I'm not the most vocal leader. I would say our most vocal leader on the offensive line would be Alex Moore. You could talk to him more about, being the figurehead for the offensive line, you could say.
Just with that, real quick, has he kind of talked to you guys, try to instill some confidence in this group?
Alex? Yeah. He's called multiple meetings, and we've talked just as a group, no coaches, just like how we need to come together and approach things, and how we need to work every day, and the culture in our meeting rooms even. We've just talked about a lot of stuff. 'Cause again, a lot of this is new for all of us, Alex included. last year, obviously, we had like 10 seniors or something like that. So we were just kind of like following their lead. So now it's like we're kind of trying to figure this out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like that's kind of helped? Those meetings have helped you guys?
Yes, they have helped. And it's been good to just like get with the guys and talk about things without coaches being around. Just player to player, man to man type thing.
Michael, how much of it is just when you're kind of trying to be in unison as a unit? How much of it is thinking versus reacting?
You're talking about like on the field.
When you're on the field, like how much of it is like you get to that point where you're just reacting versus thinking?
Well, I would say you described, I guess, the thinking part comes before the play and the reacting comes after, because things could change really fast, right? We really try and know our assignments as well as we can and know exactly what we're supposed to do prior to the snap. But, once the snap goes, everything's just a reaction. So that's why things sometimes go wrong. We'll miss something or maybe we'll make a really good play that maybe we didn't anticipate just by reaction. That happens sometimes.
And then what are you studying here? What's your degree you're going?
Oh, I'm a management major. Mm-hmm.
In what ways do you view the challenge of this season ahead of you differently now than you maybe did Friday night?
I think that we're going to want to just approach every game like it's the biggest game of the year. That's the way I'm looking at San Jose State right now, is they're the biggest game of the year. We want to just stack wins every week, and it starts with this week. So that's the way I'm thinking of the season. It doesn't matter what's down the line. Who cares? It's just this week against our opponent.
Was there some surprise that came with Saturday? You mentioned the 166 yards, and you've seen what Air Force has done year after year. Were you expecting it to kind of come a little easier for the group? And does that change things spinning forward?
I might have expected more out of our group. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to perform just like last year's unit right away, right? Again, there's going to be some things we need to figure out, but I would say we probably expected more than 166 yards. Like I said, our goal was 300. I thought we could have gotten close to that or gotten to our goal, but it didn't happen, right? And we want to get that goal this week, so that's what we're going to try and do.
And is it nice to, if you're going to have to learn from some on-the-job mistakes, to do so with a victory?
Yes, yeah. I think we'd much rather win than lose. I know a lot of people will say that you learn the biggest lessons from a loss, but you could still learn a lot from I guess you could say a less than impressive win.